Hello my dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel. So today in this video, I'm going to give you some important points and guidelines that will help you to make a good project or seminar or internship presentation by using Microsoft PowerPoint. And I'm sure that you're going to enjoy this video and it will be very useful to all the students irrespective of your branches. So before going to start this video, if you're not subscribed to our channel, so please click on the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that whenever we upload any new video, so you will get a notification. So here are the some very important points so that has to be followed when you are preparing your presentation. So before going to the main presentation, so these set of points to be remembered by you. The first thing is slide size. So there are two types of slide sizes. One is a standard size and another one is a widescreen slide. So the standard size comes within a ratio of 4:3, whereas widescreen it will comes within a 16:9. But I prefer in the most of the conferences or in the presentation, so it is insisted to go with this standard size, that is 4:3, because whenever you project your presentation by using a projector on a screen, so the complete screen will occupy the standard size presentation. So I personally insist the students to go with this standard size, that is 4:3. And the use of background is also very important in the presentation, because we have seen many students, so they use different background for each and every slides. So that will disturbs the audience or an examiner or the listeners, one who are watching your presentation. So it is insisted to use the same background throughout the presentation. For example, in this video, I'm using a plain white background and I'm continuing till the completion of this complete video. So even in your presentation, it is insisted to go within a white background so that whatever fonts you put it on a presentation, it will be clearly visible. And the fonts, so that is also very important. So you may have a confusion that what fonts to be used. Use any fonts which are clearly visible, but the most commonly used fonts are, so here I have listed it. So these are the most commonly used fonts in a presentation. The next very important is font size. The font size used in the reports and the font size to be used in the presentations are completely different. So in the title, for the title you need to use a font size 40, and subtitles you need to use font size 32. And the content text means here, so that has to be used with the font size 24. And the font size 12 is used for date, footer or header or a slide number. Okay, but in a report it is completely different. Okay? And the next is very important, that is bold, capital letter and italic style. So this is very important because we have seen many students making a mistake. So they use all the letters as bold or all letters in a capital letter. Wherever it is not required, they use a italic fonts. But a bold letters to be used where the titles, for example subtitles, highlights the important points, and capital letters is used for titles and subtitles, and italic style is used for definitions, then highlights, thoughts and journals of that magazine titles. So here you can easily observing that bold letters I have used for this one. It indicates in the highlighting, I am highlighting the word background, so you need to use in that way. The next important point to be remembered is figures, graphs and charts. Okay, so whatever figures you are using in your presentation, so it should be clearly visible to the audience or to the examiner. So whenever the examiner, if he see your figures, he must understand what is there in your presentation or what you wanted to express it through that figure. And you should use a good quality of figures which have a good color combination. And the next important is use of animation. The use of animation makes the presentation more effective. Okay, and you should carry the same present animation throughout the each slide. You should not use a number of present a number of slide number of animation for each different slides. You should use the same common animation throughout your presentation. The next very important is the color of a font. So as I said, I'm using the white background. So the colors which are more visible on a white background, for that opposite colors you need to choose for your words or letters. So the most commonly used on a white backgrounds are black, blue, red, dark red, purple and green. So it is insisted to avoid yellow and parrot green, gray color fonts to be not used in your presentations. Okay, these are the some important points that has to be followed by before preparing to your presentation. So let us move to the main thing, that is what should be there in your presentation. So this is your first page, cover page or a cover or a first slide of your presentation. Okay, so at the top you should use a college or university logo, and below that you need to use a name of you need to write the name of university. For example, if you belongs to IIT means you should not write IIT, so you should write complete detail, that is Indian Institute of Technology. For example, VTU, you should not write VTU, you should write Vishveshwaraya Technological University. The complete name has to be written in the cover page. And the next is the college logo. So you need to put your college logo, and below that you need to write your college name. Then the next is department. So which department you belongs, that department you have to write it here. Then the next thing is, if you are presenting a presentation on a seminar, then you should write seminar on and the title of seminar. If you are doing a project presentation, then you should write project presentation on, so that particular title you have to write it. Then if the group, if you're individually presenting means you should write your single name, your own name, and then your USN. If your group of peoples are presenting, so you should write all your group members name along with your USNs. Okay, the next is just below these names you should write to under whom you are doing this presentation, under guidance whom you are doing, so that is your guide name. So based on his designation you write the name, complete name, and his designation in the department, then the college name of the college. So only this much should be there in your cover page. And if you have seen students that they will make this page with a full colorful images, all those things are not required. So only this much is enough. This will give you a details of your complete as well seminar title, college, university name, names and guide name. Okay, this much is enough whenever you are preparing your presentation. The next thing is the content. What content you should be there in your presentation, because many people don't know what things should be added in the presentation. So here are some 8 points that must be there in your presentation. First is abstract, then introduction part, then literature review section, then objective, then construction and experimental setup or methodology, and result and discussion for the present work, then conclusion of a present work, then the references. So these 8 sections should be there in your presentation. The first thing is abstract. So what should be there in your abstract? So abstract is nothing but the brief summary of your study. So what work you have done, so it's a brief summary of that work, and you should write in such a way that the one who is watching or one who is reading your presentation, you should easily understand what work is there. Okay, the examiner will guide your present, or examiner will evaluate your presentation based on your abstract only. So in your abstract you should give such a brief detail in a short way, okay, of your present study. And generally the in abstract, so they will be containing 150 to 300 words. So the standards will be given based on your college formats, but generally, so 150 to 300 words are prepared for your abstract. Okay, the next is the introduction section. So what should be there in your introduction section? The introduction is an initial paragraph which tells the audience or a reader about your report. So what is there in your study, what is the principle behind it, so how it has been evolved. So all those things has to be presented in your introduction section. So you can add so abstract should be written in a only one used to be used only one slide, and introduction you can take some 3 to 4 slides for a detailed description. Okay, and also you can use some good figures which are were clearly visible in your presentation. Okay, and after introduction section, the next important thing is literature review or survey. So in this one, it is very much important for your present work. So literature survey is a report or the ground study, so that tells you what is your work, so on what the previous works are done on in the present work. So it will give a background, the history of the current study. For example, if you are doing the on alternate fuels, or if you are doing on a IC engines, what are the different works are done in previously on that particular topic. So all those things has to be added in this literature survey section. So you should refer the following things. One is book, then research paper, then other project reports or thesis. Okay, the books which are internationally recognized, so those book has to be taken for your references. And research papers, so which are published by well-known publishers like Springer, Elsewhere, Taylor and Francis, IOP, etc., which are internationally recognized papers, so you should consider in your literature study. And the next is the other project reports, the projects on the similar projects, so what they have done previously, you have to consider those things for your literature. And the way of presenting literature survey in a report is different, and the way of presenting the literature survey in the PPTs, that is presentation, will be different. Okay, so I suggest the students to use the tables for your literature survey when you are presenting in your presentation. Okay, so you can add the author name and year of publication, then the method of what method he has adopted, what are the parameters he has considered, then the what results he has obtained by his study. Okay, and so I personally tell the students to, you can take this section, that is literature section, for up to 3 to 4, because that is a basis for your, these literature survey is a basis for your present work. So you should consider 3 to 4 slides for this one. The next is objective of a present work. So this will be identified so by your literature survey. So what you want to do in a project work, or what you want to achieve in a present work, that has to be identified. So these are the concrete statement describing your study. And whatever objective you define, so that must be smart. Okay, the smart means they must be specific, they must be measurable, they must be attainable, and they must be realistic, and it should be time bound. And you need to present these objectives in a point wise or in a paragraph. Okay, you can present the objectives in a point wise or in a paragraph wise. Okay, the next, after your after the objectives slide, so the next slide should be the construction and experimental setup and methodology. Okay, in this section, if you are doing a design related seminar or a presentation, you need to use the 2D and 3D models and drawings and the fabrication work. What you have explained in your report, the same figures has to be presented here, and it should be explained. If you are doing experimental setup or experimental related seminar, so you should use the line diagram and schematic diagram. Along with that, you should use a flow charts. So how the experiment will goes on, that in this section. The next is the methodology. So what method you have adopted to do this experiment, so that has to be explained in this section. I personally suggest the students to not include too much text in this section. You can use the schematic diagrams or figures to explain the construction or working or experimental setup. So that will be more effective and the examiner will impress by the way you explain your construction or your working. So I personally suggest the students in this particular section you should use figures to explain the content or experiment or methodology. Okay, so as I said, if you're doing any IC engine related, so use the figures like this and place the figures at the center, and at the bottom you need to give a figure number along with the figure caption. So as you are seeing a clear picture in this video, the same clear picture should be used in your presentation. The next important thing is result and discussion. So what are these results? So whatever empirical findings you have identified, so those things has to be added in this section along with some suitable graphs, tables and charts. So don't add complete readings. Means if you're calculated the readings in Excel sheet, so don't take a screenshot of that Excel sheet and paste it here. So whatever results you have obtained from those value in a graph or a tables or a charts, those has to be added in this section. And the whatever figures you are using or graphs you are using, so they must be clearly visible. The examiner, one who is watching your presentation, should be clearly visible to him or at any distance if you can. Okay, the next is the discussion part. Whatever results you have obtained, those results have to be explained with respect to the previous studies. Means you should tell the audience that why these results have come and what is the changes. If I change any variables, what will be the results? All those things has to be explained in a good technical manner in this section. And here you can use the you can write the discussion in a point wise or a paragraph. Along with the graphs you can easily explain those. So that will be your discussion section. After your discussion section, and one more very important, generally the more number of slides will be there in this particular section, that is result and discussion will consume more number of slides compared to all other section. Okay, so you can use any number of slides for your result and discussion part. And as I said, so the whatever figures you are using, so it must be clearly visible. It must be clearly visible along with x-axis, y-axis. You need to define it very clearly so that the examiner will be get impressed by your presentation. And even you should give a figure name along with its caption, figure caption. The next important part is conclusion. So in a conclusion, so it is a complete summary of a whole work or a study or a presentation what you did. So it is a conclusion of a section, and this will be the last part in your presentation. So you should give the importance, means whatever discussions you have done in a discussion section or information what you have discussed in the discussion part, the same thing should not be repeated here. You should select some important highlights of that discussion and you should add those points in the conclusion part. You can use you can write in a paragraph or you can write the conclusion in a point wise. Okay, so I personally suggest the students to go with a points wise, so that your space or the words you can whatever adding in this section, it will be reduced and you can easily explain the one by one points. Rather than reading the whole paragraph, you can explain the points one by one. After the conclusion part, the last slide will be references. Okay, so references are the nothing but whatever the consideration, whatever references you have considered in the literature review or literature survey, those things has to be represented in a well defined manner. So whatever the format you are seeing here, it is a IEEE format. So first author name will come, then the title of that work, the name of journal, then volume, then pages, then year of publication, then DOI. So your college or university may suggest you to go with any formats. There are n number of reference formats. So what your colleges or your university will tells you to go with the reference formats, you can use that formats. Okay, and this will be your last slide. After this slide, don't end up with your thank you note. So you just add one more slide, that is a question slide. Any discussion, if any audience or examiner want to ask a question, after that he can ask, or any doubts if he is having, he can clarify with you in this particular section. Okay, and at the last you can add a beautiful thank you by saying, by concluding your seminar. Hope you have you have, this video will be very helpful to you to make very effectively and very attractively. If you like the content in the video, you can share to your friends, so that even they can do this their presentation very